It was just after 6:30 a.m. on a quiet Sunday morning, April 25, 2010, when a frantic 911 call jolted the sleepy streets of St. Paul, Minnesota. A man's voice screamed over the line, "Help! Someone broke into our house. My wife's been shot." If you're drawn to stories that search for the truth behind the headlines, don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell. We dive deep into the details others skip. The voice on the phone belonged to 27-year-old Nick Firkus. His wife, Heidi, was dead, shot in the back with a 12-gauge shotgun inside their home in the quiet Highland Park neighborhood. The scene appeared to tell a story of a home invasion gone wrong, but as we'll see, not everything added up. Heidi Firkus, 25, was the kind of woman everyone loved. Raised in a devout Christian household, she was gentle, artistic, and warm-hearted. She met Nick through their church. They married young and seemed like the perfect suburban couple, active in their congregation, with plans for the future. But under the surface, something was brewing, something dark. Police arrived at the Firkus residence to find a chaotic scene. Nick was visibly shaken, with a gunshot wound to the leg. He told police that an intruder had broken in, and during a struggle over his shotgun, it discharged, first hitting Heidi, then grazing him. The alleged intruder, nowhere to be found. As investigators combed through the scene, inconsistencies emerged. There were no signs of forced entry, no valuables taken, and then an unexpected twist. Just days before the incident, the Firkuses had been served an eviction notice. Records revealed the couple was drowning in debt. Despite their outward image, Nick and Heidi were months behind on their mortgage. They were set to be evicted the very next day. But Heidi's family had no idea. She'd kept it from them. Had Nick? Friends recalled Heidi seemed more anxious in the weeks before her death. One friend remembered her mentioning she was overwhelmed. But again, there were no overt signs of abuse, no red flags pointing to danger. With no witnesses and no confirmed intruder, the case began to go cold. The shotgun was legally owned by Nick. The injuries he sustained appeared consistent with his story, and without physical evidence to prove otherwise, there was little police could do. But Heidi's family didn't believe it. Not for a second. They knew something was off, and they began pushing for answers. For years, the case sat dormant. Nick moved on, remarried, started a new life. Meanwhile, Heidi's family kept pressing. They worked with journalists, pushed police, and begged for a re-examination of the evidence. Then, in 2019, nearly a decade after Heidi's death, there was a breakthrough. If you've made it this far, you're clearly as invested in uncovering the truth as we are. Drop a like and share your thoughts below. What do you think happened to Heidi Firkus? A new investigator took on the cold case and began from scratch. He reanalyzed the crime scene, interviewed friends again, and crucially dug into digital records. What he found painted a different picture. Cell phone data placed Nick exactly where he said, but it also revealed that Heidi had no outgoing communications in the hours leading up to her death. Odd for someone supposedly caught off guard. Even more damning, forensic evidence now indicated that Nick A.'s version of events didn't match the trajectory of the shot that killed Heidi. The intruder theory started to crumble. To understand Nick's psychology, investigators revisited not just Heidi's final days, but also Nick's relationships before and after. His second wife, who married him years after Heidi's death, came forward with disturbing insights. She claimed Nick had a pattern of secrecy and emotional manipulation, that he controlled finances tightly, that he avoided discussing Heidi entirely, even during moments when the topic naturally arose. It painted a picture not just of a man hiding guilt, but a man potentially capable of long-term deception. Police reconstructed the hours before Heidi's murder. Surveillance footage from a nearby ATM showed Nick alone withdrawing money with a strange urgency. Texts and deleted emails recovered from backup services suggested Nick had known far more about their eviction than he let on. Heidi's journal, quietly kept in her bedside drawer, held heartbreaking confessions. In it, she admitted she felt something terrible was coming, but didn't know how to stop it. In May 2021, 11 years after the killing, Nick Firkus was arrested and charged with murder. Prosecutors alleged that Nick, desperate and ashamed about the impending eviction, plotted to kill Heidi to avoid facing the consequences. They claimed he staged the break-in and shot her in cold blood. At trial, the defense painted Nick as a traumatized husband who was telling the truth. But the jury didn't buy it. The trial was emotional. Forensic experts testified about the trajectory of the bullet, crime scene reconstruction, and the lack of evidence supporting an intruder. Heidi's family sat through it all, reliving the worst day of their lives. Nick remained composed, but his testimony raised more questions than answers. Prosecutors laid out their narrative: a man desperate to save face, willing to commit the unthinkable. In April 2023, Nick Firkus was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. Heidi's family finally got the closure they'd been fighting for. Her brother said, "We always knew. We just needed the system to catch up." The community was shaken. Churches held vigils in Heidi's memory. Advocacy groups pushed for better education around domestic financial abuse, a hidden pattern in many controlling relationships. Heidi's name became a symbol for persistence and the power of asking hard questions. Her family started a foundation to help women recognize the early signs of coercive control. The murder of Heidi Firkus left scars on a community that once believed in fairy tale love stories. It reminded many that appearances can be deceiving, and that justice, no matter how long it takes, is worth fighting for. Her story, once buried under paperwork and falsehoods, now stands as a testament to persistence, love, and the search for truth. Thank you for staying with us until the end. If Heidi's story moved you, please consider subscribing. Share this video so her memory and the fight for justice lives on.